What was it like signing up for Medicaid for the first time? So I'm Tanis Leonhardi, she, her, hers of Seattle. I'm filming this Friday, 29 March 2024, and I signed up for Medicaid for the first time in 2021. In terms of signing up for health insurance of my own initiative, so not through my parents or not through an employer, it was actually the second time I had done that kind of signing up for health insurance in my life. A lot of people are either covered by their parents or their employer, their job or whatever. And it was actually my second time doing that. So I thought of that. I've written this down a little bit ago to address this in a separate video. But I was thinking through it and I was like, oh yeah, it wasn't. So some people have this really intense fear of Medicaid and stuff like that, and was and going through it and stuff, and I didn't have that fear, and I think in part it might have been just that rogue experience of signing up for international health insurance before I moved. It was actually part of the requirements for me to be able to go was to have international health insurance when I lived in South Africa on a 6-month student visa. So there's a bunch of paperwork and a bunch of proof of blanks that are needed to even apply for a visa. That's part of to get approved, and one of it was international health insurance, or that was attending the university, or it was it didn't have to be for the visa but had to be at the university, and if not we'd give a turn down kind of thing immigration. And so so there's a little bit of background there, and then I'm going to project it forward too, because I've learned some things with my particular primary care facility in terms of what happens if I don't get health insurance through a future employer, which is actually a situation I've brought up on this channel before. But the confidence to say, well, maybe that would work in the future actually comes from these past 2 experiences. So for Medicaid specifically, it was, I was getting therapy for some difficulties I was having related to assault that I experienced back in 2012. It was flaring up again, and I was going through that, and I was having some teeth problems, and so I really signed up for Medicaid to address teeth problems. And it turned out to be I really needed teeth care and that kind of stuff, and so I timed it right, but could have gone in earlier kind of thing. And it was a relatively straightforward process. They did ask for proof of income, and if one doesn't have an income, I did not at signing up, then if I ever reach above a certain threshold, then I need to report that income. So there's minimum reportable income. And so I went through it. It was relatively straightforward. Once I found the website, I was guided there by my therapist, as in provided. I checked to make sure I had the right website, and there were questions, personal information. Went through that, and then so there's Medicaid, which is United States of America, and then there's within that the state health plan. So for Washington State, and signing up in 2021, the name was Apple Health. Okay, which I confused with Apple Care, because some things called it Apple Care and some were Apple Health, but our state fruit is the apple. So that's where that comes from. And then, so once signed up for Medicaid, there's Washington State Medicaid, and then within that, there's plans to sign up for. So I had to choose a plan. So I read up on those and went with, they had feedback. They had not all of the plans provide the same kind of coverage, so I had to decide on which one I wanted to go with. So I went with one, and it has since changed its name, so there you go. In terms of coverage, I think in a period of less than a year, I had 3 different primary care providers. I don't necessarily get a say in that, especially if the doctor leaves the system. And so there's been, some people would be like, that's a horror story, and I'm like, it's different than what I experienced off of Medicaid. So that's a little bit about signing up for Medicaid. In terms of building confidence to sign up for it, It was something, I think that was actually brought up when I initially went through therapy for my being assaulted in 2012, when I was at the University of Hawaii at Manoa. I went partway through the process because I still had insurance through my parents, but I wasn't sure as to what my insurance were. So there was a little bit of like, you can check that out. So I did check it out. So I will say I was not unfamiliar with the process of applying for Medicaid. I did not apply back in 2013 at that point in time. However, I did access some of the online resources. So I was like, there was a bit of a gap there, but 8-year gap, approximately 8-year gap. It was a little over 8-year gap because it was like spring of 2013 and then autumn, winter of 2021. So yeah, it was rusty, but in going through the stuff, I was like, oh, I vaguely recall this. And then, so for health insurance, when I studied abroad in South Africa, so my student visa was January to June 2012. Some people maxed out the 6 months. What is that called? Being space filling. I'm not that type of person. I think calendarically it was closer to 5 months than 6 months. I did not max it out. Not a space filler personality type in that way. And I had a health insurance, which I did not actually use, but it came with a health insurance card and everything, and there were certain plans. Some of the students really loved it. Like there were really great perks with it, and they were like, I love this health insurance. I'm gonna go to the dentist and that kind of stuff. And I'm not even here for 6 months, but like, why not? It's cheaper and it's covered. So there's and the care might be better, and so there was a bit of that. Thinking forward to a future employer, if they did not provide health insurance, so ICHS, which I've shown the building a number of times where I've gone, Shoreline location, and that has been kind of my stable dental health coverage, even as my primary care provider has changed. They actually do allow, I've seen published in publications where you can actually apply for the health insurance I'm on with an income. The difference is one has to pay for it. Yeah. And so I think in terms of that, I think if one makes above a certain amount, I don't actually know. Because it kind of sounded like it was open to all people. Like I'd seen in some of the local publications that you can sign up for some of this stuff. I don't know if it was Medicaid specifically, but like if one doesn't have health insurance, one can get health insurance through such and such. And so I was like, well, there's one way to do it, right, is with a different employer that doesn't provide health insurance, is start with the state, right, if there's a state, or let the country, right, the corresponding, right, if it's France that I'm living in, I don't know, are they called states? Are they provinces? Are they territory? I don't know what the right is. What is the health insurance? Is any health insurance provided? If there is, go in and be like, is my income too much? And if it is too much, is there a place where I can go to apply for health insurance since I'm not covered by my employer? There has been, I think that kind of stuff does exist within the United States of America. Sometimes it's not about getting a yes answer, we can cover you. It's about getting directed to the right resources. So I have confidence in that, of even if I don't get covered by the same whatever plan or whatever Medicaid or whatever that equivalent might be in a different country, having the confidence to go through the process and just be like, okay, do I qualify? No. Can I get help in where I should go? Right? That's how I started off with Medicaid. Is I think it's Medicaid. Is that, or like that kind of thing, was making sure I had the right place. So seeing if they have insights, and my employer might as well. Or my employer might have says here, we have not employed somebody quite like you before. Here's our list of places you could go. We do not cover it, but here's our best guess, so to speak, because they haven't gone through it with a different employee, or maybe they have, but either way, it could be different because of me, depending on where I'm based and that kind of stuff. Is take their recommendation and work on it, and not be afraid to get a no. Just ask where do I go? I'm looking for help and guidance, even if the answer is no. Can you provide the guidance? So in that sense, it's been a very big confidence builder. So yeah, being on Medicaid. I'm still on Medicaid as of filming this. Friday, 29 March 2024. And again, I'm Tanis Leonhardi, she, her, hers of Seattle. And that's a little bit about my Medicaid starting journey.